Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm AshFab and this is Fab on a Dime, where I share all things saving money and all my frugal adventures. If you like saving money as much as me, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any content. It would help me out so much as I'm really trying to hit my goal of 500 subscribers. I've got lots of tips, tricks, and I love sharing my own experiences and journey with you. Today I really want to talk about my life as an opera singer and what it takes for me to travel and sing for opera companies across the United States. I've said it before, but deciding to become an opera singer was probably the most expensive decision I've ever made. And if you're in this business like me, I don't have to tell you that. But for those of you who may not know, unless you've come from some significant money or you have people financially supporting you throughout your education and young artist phases, you're absolutely screwed, to put it nicely. There were times when I was working 4 jobs and putting myself through school, all while attempting to find work as an artist. This career comes with an enormous amount of expenses. Which brings me to the topic of today's video, audition season. This is the time of year when companies are offering auditions to young singers, and they'll hear hundreds and hundreds of singers to fill only a couple of positions. As a young singer, this puts you in a difficult position because not only are you required to travel, pay a pianist, dress up, and try to impress a panel of judges for a very limited spot, but you're also having to prepare for these auditions by spending money on lessons, coachings, sometimes preliminary recordings. I decided to spend this whole video breaking down some ways that I personally have saved money during this difficult time of year. I can't really begin this video without stressing the importance of budgeting. I have a very specific budget template designed just for singers, and it's customizable for other freelance artists as well. This budget can help you organize your money and get a clearer picture of what needs to be done in order to have a successful month. It takes into account all of these crazy expenses like ride shares, plane tickets, audition attire, and pianist fees. So if you're interested in downloading that, I have included the link down in the description below. If you don't budget and plan ahead for these costs, you're going to have a much harder time getting through this season without going completely broke. Let's start by talking about these recordings you have to make just to be considered for these auditions, okay? I've recorded myself singing the same 5 arias for so many years now, and I'm absolutely sick of it. And I would definitely recommend that you get a professional recording done if you can afford it, because it eliminates a lot of stress and a lot of work on your end. This is a good investment. However, there have been plenty of times when I couldn't afford to do so and I needed a good quality recording. So I'm going to tell you how I've done this in the past. Let's start with the equipment that you might need. If all you can afford is a quick recording on your phone with no frills, just make it as good as you possibly can, use some natural lighting, and don't fret. The judges are mostly looking for your talent anyway. But if you're looking to make a better investment, I recommend using a decent microphone. I have a $100 condenser mic that I use. I use the Audio-Technica AT2020, and it works just as well as any other microphone I've tried. I used to have a much more expensive setup, and I honestly can't tell the difference. I also know that Zoom recorders work nicely as well. I will use the sound from my condenser mic and mix it with a little bit of the sound from my iPhone, but we'll get to that in a second. I find that as long as the lighting is good, an iPhone will work nicely for the camera. And if you don't think you're gonna have good lighting, I suggest getting some studio lights on Amazon. I've included a link to the ones I use in the description below. Keep in mind that these purchases you make will definitely be worth it because you'll be able to use all of this equipment again and again in the future when it's time to make updated recordings. As for the venue and pianist, see if you have any connections to a nearby church. I've always had better luck using a sanctuary or a choir room, and it usually didn't come with any extra fees. Use a pianist that you trust. This is not an area to go cheap on. I suggest saving up and spending money on a really good accompanist that you've worked with before. And once you've recorded with your equipment, you can use a free program like GarageBand or Audacity to mix your sound from your microphone with a little bit of sound from your phone. I find that stacking these and mixing them gives your sound a richer, fuller texture that sounds more like you would in a live audition than in a studio recording. Sync that up to your video and you're good to go. And when you've secured live auditions, it's time to make some plans. One thing that I recommend doing, especially if you're like me and you don't live in New York City, is reaching out to companies that are within driving distance and inquiring about a live audition at their location. If you're able to drive and meet them on their home turf, it's more likely that they'll spend more time with you, and you're going to be saving lots of money on flights to a big city for a cattle call audition. I've done this before, and I'll just take my car with a cooler of food. I won't even spend money at restaurants or have to worry about buying flights. It's just me and my little yellow car. It also helps to have your own car to warm up, just in case they don't have a practice room before your audition. However, when it comes to traveling for auditions, try and plan as much as possible to sing for as many people as you can in each city. If I'm spending all this money to make a trip to a specific city, I'm going to attempt to sing for as many companies there as humanly possible. Even if I'm singing multiple auditions a day, I want to make this trip worth it for me. Email people, work around that schedule, and see if you can line up multiple auditions for the same trip. This is especially important for those New York City auditions in the fall. I used to hate traveling to New York every couple of weeks. It was so annoying. When you're looking to buy flights, I've always had success tracking flight prices with Google Flights, as well as an app called Hopper. I use these tools to try to plan when the best time to buy the flights would be, and sometimes I search for one-way flights instead of round-trip prices, just in case I can find some options that will save me some money. I've taken a whole lot of these Spirit and Allegiant flights for audition trips before because I figured out a way to pack in just one personal item so I wouldn't have to spend money on baggage fees. And if you're interested in how I do such a thing, I made a whole video on it, so definitely check that out. I'm all about spending $50 on a Spirit flight, stuffing my audition materials in a duffel bag, and crossing my fingers that the flight doesn't get canceled or delayed. And as far as staying in different locations goes, I am always looking to call in favors with my friends across the country. And I'm also more than happy to host my friends when they come to visit the West Coast. We all have to look out for each other and support our colleagues as best we can. So don't be afraid to send a text to your college buddy to see if you can crash on their couch for a night or two. I've also spent lots of times in Airbnbs, and I figured out a bunch of hacks for saving money on those as well. And of course, I made a video on that. Give that a watch so you don't ever have to pay full price for an Airbnb again. The important thing to keep in mind is that you should never stop looking for a better deal. Negotiate if you have to, but don't just throw money at a hotel in New York City and go broke. These are just some of the ways I have been able to establish myself as an artist and have an operatic singing career. And if you're a singer as well, leave me a comment. Let me know how you deal with these crazy expenses, or if you learned anything from this video. I've got so many more experiences to share with you, so please hit that subscribe button and like this video. I really hope this was helpful, and I'm grateful to you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.